What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're back for career mode, and it's not been a 3-year break between episodes. Isn't that nice? Anyway, check out the previous episode, the Austrian Grand Prix, uploaded just the other day. It was quite the thrilling episode, I would say, for on-track battling. We really had to pull out all the stops in order to get the result, which is now spoiled. So that's on you for not watching the episode quick enough. Do better next time. Anyway, we move into this round and we have the ultimate engine upgrade, which failed quality control last time. We're going to get that on the car in time for the British Grand Prix, which is in this episode. Not long now till a real life British Grand Prix. Hopefully I can get my butt there. We'll see. Weight reduction upgrade going on the car. One upgrade which I actually really need to do is actually the brakes, because I've actually been struggling to pull up the car. The car is actually so fast in a straight line, and we keep upgrading it. It keeps getting faster. It's going to be a real problem if we don't address that in the next episode, I'd say. We can't get there yet because we haven't got any upgrades that are on that are close to... We can't do any brake upgrades. We can't buy any brake upgrades. We have to get to weight redistribution, or that weight reduction upgrade that I did at the top there. So that's going to have to wait till next episode. We spent all the resource points. We've got some more coming in as we progress towards the British Grand Prix. And yeah, this is going to be a tough race. This is always the toughest race of the season, given how strong the AI are. So we're going to have to pull out all the stops once again in order to be competitive. However, though, speaking of competitiveness, we're now second in the performance index. We've overtaken Red Bull, and I think AlphaTauri as well. We jumped those guys. So, massive leap, a quantum leap in performance. We won't truly know how strong we are until we get to the next race. But you'd have to say from here on in, or maybe not here, but the next round onwards, we should be able to win races on the regular. And this will be actually a really good opportunity for my teammate to shine, since the AI are so strong here, and Latifi is now in the second best car, so he's really got to prove his worth. Otherwise, he's going to get fired from F1 2020 career mode. No, it's fine. This is the last season anyway. He is going to be immortalized in Marduk Motorsport as being the last driver to drive this car in this game. So, yeah, we get through practice 1 and 2 pretty well. I think we got second in both sessions. Pace is strong, but we won't truly know how strong we are or weak we are until the AI turn off their sandbags in the sessions that matter. So, let's get into the weekend proper. Leave a like. I'd really appreciate that. Helps the videos get out there. And subscribe if you haven't already. See plenty more F1 videos. Let's do it. Alright then, let's get this bloody thing over and done with. The bogey circuit on the calendar. Any kind of points, any kind of momentum we can gain out of this race is going to be much appreciated. Softening off the rear ends of the car, the suspension, and the anti-roll bars. This is my league racing setup that I'm using, which should hopefully give me a bit of an advantage as opposed to previous seasons. But the car, even though I've softened it off, you can see I'm having to play around with the wheel there just to straighten it up mid-corner. The car is still quite on edge, even though I'm running 2.7 wings. Softer suspension than what I used in my league race. Oh yeah, it's still having to be very smooth with the transition of weight and balance over the rear of the car as you tip it in through the high-speed corners. That is the delicate balance that we're having to strike, because if you turn in too sharply at turn 1 especially, but also the old turn 1 at Cops, the car can loop around on you. Nicholas Latifi though, pretty fast, as I kind of predicted he would be, now that he's in the second best car and able to show his worth. Hopefully from here on in he can be that supportive number 2 driver that we've been looking for 6 seasons now. And we Well, if he keeps this up, then it's looking good. It's looking good. Who would have known that the pay driver would be the strongest one of the lot so far? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Who's been my strongest teammate so far? Out of all the 6, 7, 8 drivers that I've had drive for Marduk Motorsport, I think Lando was solid. So was Vettel. The others were a bit rubbish, weren't they? Anyway, we're in Q2 now. This is actually my best lap of the weekend. And that's a depressing feeling to say, a depressing thing to say, based on the fact that it's Q2. Nicholas Latifi, though, goes P1. He's on provisional pole heading into Q3. We're rounding the final few corners now. We're up by 7 tenths. So this is a lap that was benchmarked against a used soft compound tire run. So you would imagine that there'd be a big disparity, and we are inside the top 10. We do go through to qualifying 3, but that just means that our Q3 lap is not as good as the one that we did in Q2. Having said that, I think it was about 3 tenths slower. So we move into Q3 now, and I just didn't get the lap in together. I think I only did one run as well. Didn't exactly nail it. The AI went faster. Albon, who qualified on mediums in Q2, put the soft on in Q3 and was a lot faster than us, for example. But yeah, I think I could have been maybe close to my teammate if I absolutely nailed it in qualifying. But we've got the race. We've got 100% race, 90-odd minutes worth of racing to make up the difference. And I think our consistency will help us come through the pack, as well as our racecraft. We can always lean on our racecraft and strategy to get one up on our competitors. So I'm not too worried. As long as we stay in the slipstream of the leaders, we'll be fine.
We return once again then to the home of British motorsport and the birthplace of the Formula One World Championship. It's race day here at Silverstone, and it's time for the British Grand Prix. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Now, what I'll talk to you about Sebastian Vettel. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Alexander Albon put in a great lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Pierre Gasly in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Kvyat, Latifi, Max Verstappen and Norris, Leclerc, Day, Bottas and Antoine Hubert, Stroll, Russell, Carlos Sainz and Ocon, Aitken, Magnussen, Antonio Giovinazzi and Callum Islet, Vettel, De Vries, Schumacher and Nobuharu Matsushita. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Luckily for us, there's a couple of drivers with some grid penalties. So we now start in 8th place for this British Grand Prix, starting alongside one of the Ferraris. So let's get into it. A 52-lap race. Silverstone is a circuit which is predominantly flat out. It's a bit like an oval circuit these days in the turbo hybrid era with all the downforce we've got on. So, the goal is to really just hang on to the slipstream of the race leaders because we're running relatively low downforce relative to the others. But away we go for the British Grand Prix. 5 red lights, 5 LED lights. Technically, they're LEDs. And away we go for turn 1, getting out-muscled by Antoine Hubert in the Racing Point. He gains 2 places on the run into turn 1 before we swiftly demote him back down to 8th. So, not bad. It's 1 step forward, I suppose. Make that 2 steps forward as we get past Max Verstappen, championship leader, around the outside through the first sector, completely dancing around his outside. And we're now up into 6th place with our teammate in the crosshairs in 4th. So, yeah, we're doing what we need to so far. But, the true test is going to come in a few laps' time when DRS gets enabled, when the AI and myself can really settle into our rhythm and then we can truly see what the race pace is like. Nice understeer there, Ben. So, yeah, that's going to be a bit of a problem through this opening stanza of the race. I think the first stint is a good 22 laps, and I've already understeered chronically twice in this Grand Prix, and we're only like half a lap into it. So, yeah, that's something I really got to get my head around, is the restriction on the pace. That being the fuel, how heavy the car is, how understeery the car is with heavy fuel, and dirty air, that being traffic of Norris, who was ahead of us. But in terms of the leading battle, we have a 1-2 for AlphaTauri at this stage. We've got Pierre Gasly leading the way from Danny Kvyat, and yeah, they're having an absolute field day out there. You can see, I think the race leader, Gasly, has managed to get outside of 1 second of his teammate, but I think Kvyat is still only within a second of the car behind him. So he needs to get a work on and try and establish a 1-2 for that team, because that would be absolutely monumental, considering they're actually not too far away in the championship fight. And with the likes of Verstappen and Albon down the order, they could really get some big points and maybe buy their way into this championship, but still a long way to go. Still 48 laps of the British Grand Prix to traverse. But, you know, surprisingly, this is a bit of a difficult circuit to overtake because everyone's going flat out. Dirty air is a bit of a thing. I'm about to disprove that theory as we're going to make a move on Lando Norris down into turn 2. I literally had to use all my overtake, or a lot of overtake, in unconventional areas of the circuit in order to get close to this guy. So I was boosting a lot on the run into turn 1, and then I even used overtake on the run into turn 2, 3, and 4, just to get out the inside there. So job done in terms of getting the position, but the work has only just begun in trying to keep up with the next pack of cars, because crucially, we can't fall outside of 1 second. If we do, we lose all our pace. This is basically the Indy 500 of Formula 1. Yeah, maybe on the same level as Monza in terms of importance of keeping DRS and slipstream to the next group of cars, which I think for the most part we've been able to do, because Albon has now been overtaken by Latifi. Albon starting on the medium compound tyre and is falling like a stone in this race from pole position, and we're going to go around the outside. So that's Marduk Motorsport double teaming Albon and the Mercedes to get up into 3rd and 4th respectively in this Grand Prix. So now it's Marduk Motorsport versus AlphaTauri. What a turn of events. Mercedes in the mud, Red Bull in the mud. Who else? Ferrari in the mud. This is the new age of Formula 1 unfolding before our very eyes. 9 laps into the Grand Prix, and Kvyat is, yeah, he's stretching away a little bit, 3.4 seconds up the road. And even though we had a few, I'd say, settler laps now, it's clear to see that those guys have got the pace. Even though, you know, Latifi is in clear air, I'm struggling to keep up with my teammate, actually. It's not like team orders or anything here. I'm not purposely not overtaking him. I am literally only just keeping up with my teammate. And that's with the help of slipstream, with the help of DRS, and basically burning the fuel and rinsing overtake on every straight that I can. We are only just keeping up with our teammate. So we've waited 6 seasons for this, to have a teammate that is carrying us. And Latifi is doing a remarkable job at this stage, because he is keeping me out of the danger zone, out of risk of being overtaken by Albon, by Bottas, by Leclerc, by Russell, by so many drivers behind. He's keeping me honest and keeping my pace better than what it would be if I was in clear air. And now Marduk Motorsport have niced me even more, because they're going to give me the undercut on my teammate. I'm not sure that's the right decision, to be honest, but it was one that came up pre-Grand Prix, so we're going to stick to it. Maybe the overcut is the better way to go. I hope for Latifi's sake it is, as we go into the pit lane now, onto the medium compound tyres. Just loaded up in time for the pit line. I think who was it? Kvyat is in at the same time. I did hold him up ever so slightly on his way out of the pit lane, or out of his pit box. But not much more than that. As you can see, Gasly takes the lead of the Grand Prix once again, and we are out on the circuit. We need to put in the lap of our lives in order to jump our teammate, Nicholas Latifi, the pay driver at Marduk Motorsport. Can we do it? We're also up against the wall in terms of trying to stay ahead of Albon, Bottas, and the Ferraris behind us as well. So, pushing as much as I humanly can, using Rich on every single straight. I wasn't even using lean at all on this lap by just trying to keep the pace up. We've lost a little bit of time to Kvyat, but I think at this point we realize that the AlphaTauri is a better package than us this race weekend. As we round the final corner, we put in a purple third sector, which puts us in the mix with our teammate. Out he comes now to the pit lane, and I think we might just about get him on cold tyres round the outside of Nicholas Latifi. You'd think with my excitement levels of fighting for the World Championship here. But no, it's only third place. It's only the final spot on the podium. But it's Silverstone. I know how important this is. It's so hard to get a podium. So hard to get a race win. The AI are ridiculous. And it means so much as well in the context of this championship. We are ahead of our championship rivals, Albon and Verstappen. So any points we can get is absolutely crucial. But here comes Nicholas Latifi. He's absolutely flying. Absolutely flying. He's got one of that fresher tyres now. So he's actually got an advantage over us in this stint. So I realized very early on in the piece to just let him go. We're going to let our teammate go. We're not going to fight. We're not going to argue because we've still got the bigger picture to think about. Albon and Verstappen, or Albon at least, is on medium compound tyres and still circulating out there. So we can't afford to battle too much. We're just going to keep the pace up, keep the lap times up, and let Latifi drag us towards the AlphaTauris if we can. They're still tantalizingly close. Kvyat is only 3 seconds up the road. In comes Albon now, so we'll see if the non-battling agreement at Marduk Motorsport has paid off. As out comes Albon, and we are going to jump in by about 3 or 4 seconds there. So very, very crucial in the context of our race. He's actually going to be the danger man for the back end, given that he's on one step softer tyres than us. And being the championship leader, he's got a lot to lose in this race, or a lot to lose in this championship, a lot to gain in terms of his race and his race positions as the flurry of happy hour fastest laps come in on lap 28. So yeah, everybody's really, really closely matched on pace. There's not much to separate any of us, really. As you can see, we make a move on our teammate. Here I'm actually just testing the waters because as this race goes on, the car is getting stronger. It's actually suiting my low downforce setup car. I was struggling at the start of the race with heavy fuel and low downforce, but now I can take the corners faster because there's less weight in the car. So with each passing lap, I'm getting more confident. The track is rubbering up a little bit more, and I'm just getting faster. But still not too sure who's actually faster out of myself or Latifi. I'm faster than Latifi in a straight line, but it's still clear to see that Latifi has got a lot to offer as well. And yeah, he re-overtakes me in a straight line as well. So we're just going to let him go. And I think at this point, that might be the status quo for the rest of the Grand Prix. I think we'll try it again maybe in 10 laps time and see if the car is even better by then. But with Albon being such a risk at this stage, I think it's probably best if I am the one to fend off Albon. Because if I leave Latifi to defend from the Mercedes driver, I think Albon will end up getting both of us. So here we go. Here comes Albon up the inside as we run into the old start-finish straight down into the old turn one. You can see the drag reduction is actually pretty ridiculous on this car, as well as the ultimate engine upgrade we did on the run into this race, really making the difference at the back end of the straight. So Albon gets amazing exits thanks to his fresh tyres and well, higher downforce because he's still able to carry more speed out of the corners. But when we get to the straights, that's where we're able to really shine. So as long as I don't make any mistakes, we should be okay to... I don't know, that's maybe a stretch. It is Albon, after all. Still in a Mercedes, a car that's better than ours. And I'm definitely not going to help my case by sliding around and fishtailing everywhere. But you know, that's only every so often. The majority of the clips that you guys see in these career mode videos are often the mistake laps, believe it or not. The times where I do nail it is kind of like where nothing really happens. So, yeah, that's Norris stranded off to the side. He's retired from the Grand Prix. But Albon got held up by the Williams. He couldn't overtake because of yellow flag, otherwise he would have got a penalty. So that's actually really helped us there. And I think Albon has fallen outside of DRS, but then swiftly gets back into it because of his pace. In that car, in that tyre, he's very, very formidable. But yeah, here he comes again up the inside. I'm a little less worried this time around, but still we've got to use up a lot of rich and overtake. Oh my goodness. To stay in front. I think Albon was using overtake the whole way down this straight this time. That was the difference. So here we go, down into Cops. Here's the replay. I had to turn in. You have to turn in. Otherwise, you're going to run wide and get a warning for corner cutting or track extending. It's pretty savage. So I had to turn in. And Albon backs out right at the last second. And by some miracle, we don't make contact. You have to be, honestly, you have to be so brave to turn in like that. And Albon very brave to leave the nose in like that. That from that angle, that looks so scary. Mate, we could have wiped ourselves out with that move right then and there. Here comes Albon, still on the attack, on the same lap, heading into the Club and Vale section. Unfortunately for him, couldn't find a way around the outside of me, and he's going to have to bide his time. Once again, pulls to the inside, but by the time he pulls out of the slipstream, he's just going to lose time in a straight line and won't be able to overtake me down into turn one. So, a bit of a futile move there, but with each passing lap, like I said, the setup is suiting us more and more, and Albon's tyres are going to wear out faster than our mediums. But here he comes again, a solid challenge this time around. He gets about halfway down the straight, and by the time he gets into 8th gear, his momentum just kind of dies. It's quite hilarious to see. But that's ultimate engine upgrades for you. Here he goes this time, round the outside on the run into the old turn one. Yeah, we have the inside this time, so we're gonna keep that position. Thank you very much. We move on to the next lap, and Albon is really not going to die wondering here. He's really pressuring me on every straight, on every overtaking zone of the circuit. He's asking a question of me and my team, and we're not faltering. We're managing to weather the storm for now. Albon is getting desperate. We keep encountering lap cars, which every time gets in the way of Albon, which is probably further fueling his frustration in this Grand Prix. But Latifi, I've got to say, still doing a cracking job. Even though I might have pace in him through the overtaking zones of the circuit, he's still the faster driver and is doing me an absolute solid. He's doing himself a solid because he's guaranteeing that one of us will finish on the podium in this British Grand Prix. But anyway, one thing which has happened in the background, which I didn't even notice until now, even when I was driving this, is that Pierre Gasly has gone from first to second. And I wonder if that's some kind of team orders, because it's Danny Kvyat who's ahead in the championship race between those two drivers. Oh, that's a corner cut from me there. That's actually my first warning of the whole Grand Prix. And yeah, I realized I was in a bit of trouble there. I had a bit of understeer, maybe dirty air. Left the turn in a little bit late. And yeah, thankfully no penalty for us. The game looked down at us with a bit of fortune. But yeah, there's the Mercedes guys squabbling quite hard. I think Albon didn't have a great lap, and now Bottas is all of a sudden on him again. Bottas setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, despite that early battling. Yeah, he's managed to get his ducks all in a row and snagged himself an extra point at this stage. But you can see us slowly starting to struggle with the rear tyres. Here comes Albon. Looks like he's starting to turn up the engine a little bit, because even at the back end of the straight, he's got a bit of pace. So I wonder if maybe he was saving something in the locker. Maybe he was a little bit more in trouble in terms of fuel than us. And now the Mercedes is fully unlocked for the rest of this race. You can see it is harder to get past these guys. Around the outside, there's actually contact at the apex of cops. And yeah, that is a very, very tricky corner to go through side by side. But somehow, we did it. And we're able to live to tell the tale. It's the last lap of the Grand Prix for Silverstone. And still Latifi remains ahead of us. I did think about trying to shortchange my teammate, overtake him. But I thought, no, he's deserved this. He's deserved this podium. He's been the faster driver all day. And even if I did overtake him, he'd probably re-overtake me anyway. So, yeah, we're going to sit and maintain station in 4th place. AlphaTauri, they were just that little bit too quick for us today. If Latifi had a little bit more pace, this will get my second warning of the race. Yeah, if we as a team were like 1/10 faster, I think we might have been in this for the victory. That's how close the margins are. Literally, AlphaTauri were like 0.07 of a second a lap faster. Very precise, I know. But there goes Danny Kvyat, sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Gasly beats him. Latifi's on the podium. What a race.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Well, that might not have been the finest race in history, but there's no question it was a critical win. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
As we await the winners to take their positions on the podium, one thing is clear. AlphaTauri have really shown their prowess on the track. This is a team that isn't afraid to take risks, whether that's on the circuit or in the new talent they hire. Today, those risks certainly paid off.
And they did indeed. Great, great teamwork from AlphaTauri today. They were absolutely flying. Fastest team in the whole of F1. That is bloody incredible. And as well, very, very interesting tactics. Like, we saw that Pierre Gasly was leading for the majority of that race, and all of a sudden we just noticed he was in P2 and only 3 seconds ahead of us. So, yeah, the positions changed, but then Gasly in the end got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So, his pace never faded. I do wonder if there was genuinely some kind of team order mechanic for a midfield team, if they're really having to pull out all the stops to fight for a championship. Was that orchestrated? Because I don't know. I'd love to know. But with that, Danny Kvyat now leads the championship. He leads the championship with that win. 1-2 for AlphaTauri, 3-4 for Marduk Motorsport, 5-6 for Mercedes. Inter-team battles right up and down the field, at least at the top there. But yeah, that was a really intense Grand Prix. I guess I didn't really mention it that much, but it was very, very tough to keep pace with my teammate. I was literally flat out the whole Grand Prix, and we were only just keeping up with him. Kvyat gets the lead of the championship, leads by 4 points over Albon. We're in third. We gain points on our rivals, so it's not a horrible day. Verstappen did have a horrible day, dropping from first, equal first, to fifth now. And AlphaTauri are looking at maybe a Drivers' and a Constructors' Championship in this final season of career mode. I hope for their sake, they can keep up the development and really throw a spanner in the works. Because I did call this, I think, at the start of the season. AlphaTauri could be a dark horse this season. And they're proving it. So, yeah, let's see what they can do. Let's see what we can do. Championship is very, very tight. And we've negotiated the poor race for us. The British Grand Prix, the bogey circuit, to get 4th place and to move forward from 10th on the grid where we were, I think is a miracle. $203 million for Marduk Motorsport. We're absolutely sorted, by the way. Imagine if we could take that money into F1 2021 career mode. We'd be balling from day one. We could have Ayrton Senna, Alan Prost, Nico Rosberg, Jenson Button in a 6-car, 8-car, 10-car super team. And really take over F1. Codemasters, make it happen. But guys, that's been it for today. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. Nicholas Latifi has arrived. Alpha Tauri have arrived. And the competitiveness of this season has just kicked up a gear. I can't wait to see how it ends. Thanks for watching. And until the next one. Oh, follow my Clips channel, by the way. Link in the description. We're very, very close to 30k. If we could get there, I'd be very grateful. Anyway, until the next video, I'll see you next time.